Okay, y'all, this is I May Destroy You, Season 1, Episodes 11 and 12. Episode 11 is Would You Like to Know the Sex? And Episode 12 is Ego Death. I can say, like, the best part about Episode 11 is Arabella gets to this point of finishing the novel she had been reading, and is written by this author that she presumes is a woman named Della, based on the actual pen name for the book. And she reaches out to her friends, explaining how great it was, how it motivates her, and how she needs to be able to get in touch with the author. Ben, her roommate, suggests, well, you're both with Henny House. If it's Faith, she sees it as her name is Arabella, the writer is Della. They both write and publish with Henny House. Then Ben says you should be able to hook up through the company. She doesn't want to because she doesn't want to make it obvious to the publisher that they're going to question her about a draft. She has nothing to offer. Remember, that's the black woman that's in charge. Baby. Terry, her friend, suggests, well, go ahead, make a social media post and send it to this person and see what goes from there. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this. I see a thread and it's bothering me. But child, at this point, yeah, I even switched up the little scarf I'm wearing because I'm getting ready to go to bed so I can head out tomorrow, hit the road. And I wish I could stay up all night and watch P-Valley, but I'm thinking I need to start making hybrids of these so y'all could watch both because no one's really checking for this. But I wanted to discuss it because I saw like the cultural variations and the cultural parallels. I also wanted to give my American thoughts on this clearly British show. Or as we've learned tonight, you're not just going to call this Afro-Caribbean. I'm truly African. How dare you? And hey, those like mislabelings is problematic. This isn't some just hiccup a professional is making. So in episode 12, because I already went 2 minutes in, you're not listening anymore. Maybe you are. She goes to the publishing house because she realizes Della, the writer, has blocked her on social media. So they post. I don't know what it is about her always on the toilet. Can y'all help me see that? What are the underlying principles or thoughts of the process I should be understanding? She's always on the toilet. I guess I see it as precious privacy. Shut that door. I don't want you to see me like this. And maybe that's what she's trying to show. She's not vulnerable in such a way, but she has vulnerabilities in other ways. And it's a turn off for me all the way around. It ain't cute and it ain't funny. But I like that little pillbox hat she was wearing. It really fits her face and like her frame all the way through. Not just like her head, her face, the shape. Like her entire body. She really wears it well. And when she goes to see Henny at Henny Publishing House, she's like, I haven't had a break in 8 years. And I've done this and I've done that. Oh, let me mute my phone. But I am glad that Henny brought up a theory and she asked Michaela, what do you think about it? And Michaela was like, oh, I have to look into that. I don't feel like I know enough about it to tell you. But it's rational taxonomy? Rational taxonomy? At any rate, I thought it was worthwhile for me to look into it to see how it could apply in my day-to-day and see where this is coming in for this conversation. At any rate, Henny was like, no, I can't connect you. And you can tell Henny's moving towards the phone to go ahead and give her the boot and literally fire this girl. And she sure enough did, because her team called her in and was like, hey, we have to pay back all the money from the advance and figure out how that's going to happen. And so she goes to cry on Terry's shoulder at the bar where she got assaulted, where they always hang out, where Terry thinks Kai is attractive, like the energy Kai's putting off is sexy. So Terry slides Kai her number. I never made that connection till today. Yeah, I rewatched it today. I'm okay with that. At least, Michaela Cole will get the ratings, and maybe then we can stop having these conversations. No one checks for black shows. That's a lie. Or they can only promote it to black people. That's another lie. This soundtrack shows this is global. I mean, most of the music is American, but enough of it has a global reach. Quit it. And let's talk about that. American culture, black American culture is pop culture. I had a friend teach me that years ago, and he was very right. At any rate, while she's sitting there crying on Terry's shoulder, Kai says, hey guys, I'm done for the day, and leaves. And Bella gets a notice from Della, willing to meet, like with questions. And she's like, well, we can meet now. I'm free. So she dries up her tears in order to prepare to meet with Della. She shoos Terry off. Terry chases after Kai. We later cut to T is Terry out with Kai at a restaurant. Kai is spoken to by the server, that's a woman presenting individual, and the lady acknowledges, I love your work. I've seen you on the flip side. What's going on? I mean, I'm totally in love with it. Thank you for doing so. That had to be brave. T wants to know, I'm an actress. What is it you're doing? I need to know who I'm with. I like the way she questioned it. Kai blew it off twice. So Terry was like, excuse me. I'm going to order what he's having, and then excuse herself to the restroom, where she Googles the performance on Flipside. I think in that performance, or the actual platform of Flipside, you understand that it is about trans individuals being able to present themselves and their talents. So T comes back to the table. Kai's like, should I get the check? It's done. No, why? You feel you don't seem like you're into this anymore. And she's like, no. And anywho, I looked up your performance and I saw you on a guitar. So where are you from? What's going on? Tell me about your history. And Kai proceeds to explain, came from some town outside. Actually, I looked it up. It's pretty big. You can't just say some town. And led to London to play the guitar, thinking he'd be the next Jimmy Page, and learned that multiple people have that same idea. So no Jimmy Page for him. At any rate, the only thing he has to say about all of this is he just happens to have a vagina between his legs. T won't leave because she's seeing that people will see her as transphobic. This is what I alluded to 2 reviews ago, or the last review, saying it's not about people, it's about where you comfortable in that. And so I guess this is a worthwhile conversation to have. We should be grateful it was written into the show. What do you think? Is this something where you met someone who male presented and you thought this was a cisgender male and later learned this is a trans male? Would you proceed with a date? Would you proceed pursuing a relationship? Would you proceed to process all of this? Now, let me make sure I give proper deference and explanations. Y'all, the fact that someone reveals something to you that you may not agree with, even if you feel some kind of way duped, that doesn't give anybody the right to physically harm you, and it doesn't give you the right to harm or hurt another person, and it damn well don't give you the right to kill nobody. Now, I have to say that, and I feel like I guess I should have started this whole conversation with that, because we have a lot of murders of trans women. I mean, I'm certain trans men get killed as well. I just haven't read or heard about it like we actually hear in the media. Or, literally, do I know anybody? No, it's always through the media. And it's always so disheartening and it's so sad. Because it's like, y'all need to be respectful and just pow, one shot, I'm going to kill you and walk off. Y'all got to go drag people through the mud, set them on fire, chop them up and put them in the ditch or a trash bag. These are people kids. I would like to make sure I can bury my family member in full if that's what I want. Because I do have a family member, actually a brother and a parent, that literally wants to be cremated. And it's like, why? Anyway, but I'm used to that sound now, so it doesn't, propel me like it used to when I was younger and I would hear it and I would think, but no, we need you. And then you think about it, it's like, actually, you don't. Once they're in the grave, it's not like we're going back and hanging out and hugging each other. So anyway, back to the point. You don't get to just murder people in such a way. And I know there's someone out there who's like, bitch, you don't murder nobody, period. Y'all get real, grow up. People murder. And I guess I'm more desensitized because I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm just, it's palatable that I can digest it, handling criminal work for so long and going to crime scenes and interacting with people. But, so I know it's happening. I'm one of those people who I'm never shocked, oh, they murdered someone. That's not in them. It's in everybody. I promise you. I have seen some things that I'm like, I've had to correct some kids. I don't care if they are old, especially with predators. I don't care if they are old. If you find out a 60-some, 80-some-year-old man has just molested such and such, baby, that's not new. That was the first time that old fart just got caught. That's what you need to know. So back to, would you like to know the sex? It goes on, and we get to identify. Henny tells Bella, I can't help you. Bella finally meets Della. Della is actually, the guy who stealthed her, Go back to episode 3 and 4 review, please. Yay! While you're here, and you'll learn you cannot take off the condom on someone without permission during the romp of sex. At any rate, he's willing to help her. She's like, "So, are you really Della? Who knows this?" Come to find out, Henny House, Miss Henny. And I'm glad Bella called it what it is, such a bee. Well, she's more than a bee. She's cunning. She's all about the money. She's all about, look, I understand if you can see good talent, but what point do you stand on principle? Like, yeah, you may have good talent, but you know what? You're just going away. Because what Henny did do is when Arabella outed Zane at that reading, Henny was the first one to stand up and clap and like, yeah, like based on I know what she was getting at. She thought she was going to be able to use Bella's rape to really propel some good writing out of her. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But good thing is Zane was there to help her initially. And so now he's like, I'm back. I can help you now. And only his mother, the publishing house, which was Henny's idea to name it Della, and he went with it. So it works. But he teaches her structure, how to really write creatively, what propels, what are the themes, what are the steps, how do you get this antagonist listed, and how do you come to a conclusion. And she's able to put it all together. But I love the speech she gave him. Essentially, it was more for her than him, but it's like she also explained to us. She pushes stuff under her bed to like hide from it. It's where the boogeyman goes. And now she's accepted it. This is what it is. We move on to they're out for Halloween. They're out at the different events. They're out at the bar she was assaulted. And she's able to see this guy who she deems, he calls himself Patrick. His name is really David. It plays out in 3 scenarios. The first one, she's wearing a short blonde wig. It looks really good on her, too. Really good. And so she plays like she's been drugged by Patrick. His real name is David. Caucasian, small, petite-looking dude with no booty. Ugh. Yeah, it matters because he shows us his butt in the stall. I'm just saying. And then he takes her into the gentlemen's restroom to assault her. And she turns around. She uses Theo, part of the women's victim group, to help pull off this plan, and T is dancing to keep his partner because they work in tandem to assault women. So T is dancing and gyrating on old dude, twerking hard. Theo's in the last stall. She's gonna slip in and stab Patrick David with the sedative that he keeps in his pocket that she lifted off him. He pulls out her panties. He keeps it in his inside pocket that guys have in their jackets. And so after Theo stabs him, he goes limp, but he marches off from the bar. And they follow him, and T is very nervous. Like, she wants no part of it. But like she said, how can you tell he's out of it? We've been following him for how many blocks? He hasn't even noticed us. And they're talking out loud. What you can tell is like 3 scenarios. More like a dream sequence of ultimately the rape victim gets their justice. The second one is she shows him mercy. When T can't get her because she's really out, she goes and get the cops. They're not in the stall, so she takes him back to her house. He's in her room talking, and like basically he admits he's a predator. All he does is rape. You could tell he has this whole internal fight in himself because he doesn't feel valued. This is how he projects it and takes it out on other people. I know I'm going real deep, but I guess she either researched this to get this, but these are real criminology basics. This is a sociology they're in several books, how that power dynamic and that power exchange goes about. And it's like there's global warming in the world. People are dying from poverty and hunger, and you're worried about getting a little salted in the bathroom. Oh my word. It's like a Law and Order SVU episode gone left. Child, I get so tired of those little megalomaniacs. Little monologues. Quit it. But anyway, the cops come in because T brought her to the apartment, and they take him out and arrest him. And he's like, "You're the first person to ever treat me like a human. You're the first person to ever talk to me and give me access." And sadly, I don't know. I think I would love to believe the first scenario where I have my friends and I be able to come together with a plot and plan and execute it and get revenge, and then find him on the street and beat him up, punch him several times. She punched him at least 12 times. That was a lot of blood. But I know, I think my personality will lean to more of number 2. Bringing him back home, listening to him talk. Because I know who I am. I'd like to hear um, what got us here. I like to hear the mechanics of things and how it unraveled and what occurred and getting to the root, the etymology. It just really matters. But hey, I get that. That's my personality. That's not always a win. And that can be a downfall or not my strongest suit. So I try and be cognizant of it to avoid it. But wrapping up episode 11 and 12. 12 is a season finale, or it's not a series finale because apparently season 2 is coming. It is worth discussing the third scenario, which I can't really recall right now, so I'll fast forward to catch it. But I want to hear from y'all and how you would play these out, or how did you think season 12 was going to go? I mean, T is dating Kai. Theo is doing well in her job, and she's better recovered. T has realized from talking to Kai, she was basically assaulted. She didn't have consent. Was not empowered in that situation of a threesome like she thought she was. Those two Italian guys set her up. They knew each other. And they alluded to that when they showed us them walking away and T was watching them from the window and they kind of high-fived going in the same direction. They looked too comfortable, too familiar. We also get to see, Ben still there as a good roommate. Kwame and his new man are hitting it off. They're going kayaking, they're cooking, they're interacting with one another. They're doing the things people should do. Excuse me while I put on my glasses so I can tell you the third part of this whole idea of what happened. But it's worth discussing because that's why Arabella kept wanting to go back to the bar. She had anticipated catching the guy at the scene of the crime because criminals return to the scene of the crime. T dating Kai, it shows, I guess, growth for her. They don't really unfold how it worked out, how she accepted, okay, you may be a trans man, but this is okay in my eyes, and I see you as you are today. And how that labeling occurs. If you've ever watched Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Mimi talks about this in one relationship where she's like, we're not lesbians, because she doesn't identify as a woman. That's number one. So I know people laugh that off, but I think we're in a good place to start having those conversations. Not because someone owes you this, but because I think if we start discussing it more, first off, it doesn't seem as, far off, elusive, or even crazy. It's no different than me having to hear multiple times or over the years, my folks want to be cremated. It is not to diminish anyone in their preference or how they identify or gender orientation, but again, when we keep discussing these things, it becomes less ground shaking. It becomes more of a dialogue. Like, I get to hear you, you hear me. Oh, okay, I learned. Or you can write folks off, oh, you're just a bigot. Just let it be. I know I just dismissed it like, yeah, they're just bigots. But once you identify, oh, no matter how much education I give you, exposure I give you, you're going to be a twerp. For me, it releases me from that responsibility of hoping people can learn and grow and want to know. Oh, you're just a bigot. And let's just own that. At any rate, the third principle was she should have been high, but she has to be able to walk through and process things and do it as T provided. It kind of worked, but did it really? I don't know. It does help her in writing the final parts of her book. She does get her book published. She does do it independently. It seems to be a hit. She has a reading. She's now working with a lady who also was stealthed by Zane and knows that he's a creep for what it's worth, or doesn't always get consent to do things. At any rate, it's worth discussing out loud, period. What does consent look like? I think that's of real value here as we discuss it from season 1 to season 2, episode 1 to episode 12. What does consent look like for you? I really would appreciate any males who decide to join this conversation, dialogue, or speak up and go, like, yo, I thought I had consent when she came to my house and we started with the sex. Or I thought I had consent until this point. I don't understand why I need more consent. I would like to hear from guys, because at some point there is a real conversation that it seems to be a confusion piece for some and not others. So is it hormones that get in the way that help y'all cannot really understand it, can't process, you don't have consent or you lost consent, And if it's as much as the blood flow is no longer in your brain at the top and is now went down to your penis, so be it. I do appreciate. Oh, the third scenario. How did I forget this? It looks like she's pegging him. You know, and I don't know if it's just the motion and the act that she wants to dry hump, or she physically is pegging him with a strap on or something to that effect. But that's the dynamic exchange that she invites him home. They literally do have sex in her bedroom at her place, and then the response that he provides, and they both sleep climax, and then he's there till the morning, and she puts him out, and she finishes her book. But ultimately, is more to it because the one she beat up, that version of him that she drug back home and put under her bed, he rolls out from under the bed the next morning and follows the guy that she consented with, and he's carrying her abortion bag with the what is that scan on the stomach? Diablo, how did I forget this? When they scan the stomach to see the baby as a fetus when you're pregnant in your first trimester, and then they follow along to make sure the development is good for the second and third trimester. I'm sorry I'm drawing blanks. It's not a CT scan, it's not an MRI, but congratulations to Arabella for being able to get that book written. Congratulations to T. Everybody got a nice happy ending. I like these type of wrap-ups. I think it's super great. And I look forward to seeing what season 2 has to say. Hey, if y'all can remember, what is that called when you have the baby? They scan your stomach and they give you pictures of it, the photograph of it. All right, they even do it for fibroids. So, lady, what is that? Ultrasound. It's the ultrasound. Yay.